In the tapestry of myth and history, few tales burn with as much intensity as the story of the Trojan War, a conflict born not of borders or politics, but of beauty and divine rivalry. It lingers across time as both legend and cautionary tale, a war where gods played puppeteers, mortals chased glory, and a city's fate was sealed by love, pride, and a wooden horse. If you love epic tales, ancient battles, folklore, and stories that shaped history, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more cinematic myths and forgotten tales. It began with a wedding in heaven and a golden apple. On Mount Olympus, the gods had gathered to celebrate the marriage of Peleus and Thetis. All deities were invited except Eris, goddess of strife. Furious at her exclusion, she tossed into the feast a golden apple inscribed, "To the fairest." Instantly, 3 goddesses laid claim to it: Hera, queen of the gods; Athena, goddess of wisdom; and Aphrodite, goddess of love. To settle the dispute, Zeus appointed Paris, a mortal prince of Troy, as the judge. Each goddess offered him a bribe. Hera promised dominion over all of Asia, Athena offered wisdom and glory, and Aphrodite, she offered the most beautiful woman in the world. Paris chose love, Aphrodite kept her promise, but the woman she promised, Helen, was already queen of Sparta, married to the powerful King Menelaus. Yet under Aphrodite's spell, Helen left her kingdom and her husband to sail with Paris to Troy. The world shook. Helen's departure or abduction did not go unanswered. Years earlier, when Helen's beauty had caused countless suitors to compete for her hand, her stepfather, King Tyndareus, had made each man swear a sacred oath to defend Helen's chosen husband, whoever he might be. Now, with her gone, those oaths were called upon. Kings, heroes, and warriors from across Greece assembled under the banner of Menelaus and his brother Agamemnon. Among them were names that would echo through the ages: cunning Odysseus of Ithaca, mighty Ajax of Salamis, Nestor the wise, and Achilles, the golden-haired demigod, nearly invincible and fated for greatness. They set sail with 1,000 ships to the city of Troy, perched by the Aegean Sea, its walls said to be built by gods. The war began. The siege lasted a decade, 10 years of blood and ash, of victories and stalemates. The gods themselves joined the fray, Athena, Hera, and Poseidon siding with the Greeks, while Aphrodite, Ares, and Apollo aided the Trojans. But the greatest drama of the war would come not from battles, but from wounded pride. In the 9th year of the war, a quarrel erupted. Agamemnon, the Greek commander, seized a woman named Briseis, originally a war prize of Achilles. Outraged, Achilles withdrew from battle, taking his Myrmidon warriors with him. Without their strongest champion, the Greeks began to falter. In desperation, Achilles' closest friend, Patroclus, donned his armor and led the Myrmidons into battle, hoping to rally the troops. But in the chaos of war, he met Hector, prince of Troy, and fell by his sword. When Achilles learned of his death, grief and rage consumed him. He returned to the battlefield, not for glory, but vengeance. The duel between Achilles and Hector was cataclysmic. With gods watching, Achilles struck Hector down and, in a fit of fury, dragged his body behind his chariot for days. But even in wrath, humanity stirred. King Priam of Troy, Hector's father, came in secret to Achilles' tent, not as a king, but a grieving father. He begged for his son's body. Moved by the old man's courage and sorrow, Achilles relented. For a moment, war gave way to mourning, but time would not stand still. Reinforcements came for Troy. The warrior queen Penthesilea and the Ethiopian prince Memnon both perished at Achilles' hands, yet his fate, long whispered by seers, soon caught up with him. Paris, guided by Apollo, loosed an arrow that struck Achilles in the heel, the only part of him left mortal. The war's greatest warrior fell, and with him the hope of swift victory. The Greeks mourned. They held funeral games and forged new plans. At last it was Odysseus, the clever king of Ithaca, who devised a final gambit. They would not breach Troy's walls with swords. Instead, the Greeks built a colossal wooden horse and left it at the gates of Troy as an offering to the gods. Then, they burned their camps and sailed away. At least, that's what the Trojans believed. Inside the horse, hidden, were the Greeks' finest warriors. The Trojans argued. Some, like the priest Laocoon, warned against bringing the horse into the city. "Beware Greeks bearing gifts," he cried. But fate, or perhaps divine will, intervened. Sea serpents rose from the waters and devoured Laocoon and his sons, silencing his warning. the Trojans rejoiced. Believing the war was over, they dragged the horse inside and celebrated late into the night. And while they slept, the warriors crept out. The gates of Troy were thrown open. The Greek army, having waited offshore, stormed in. Fire engulfed the city. Its temples were desecrated, its people slaughtered or enslaved. King Priam was killed at the altar of Zeus. Queen Hecuba and her daughters were taken in chains. Paris was already dead. Hector was gone. And Helen, beautiful, cursed Helen, was reclaimed by Menelaus and spared. Troy fell. The Trojan War was never just a story of warriors and kings. It was a tale of love that defied duty, of pride that cost thousands of lives, and of cleverness that outwitted strength. It was about mortals dancing to the music of gods who cared more for pride than peace. Yet beneath all the myth lies a mirror, a reminder that great fires often begin with small sparks, that beauty can be a curse, and that even the mightiest cities can fall, not just by force but by trust misplaced. The war ended in ashes, but the story endures.